So Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll start with 12th chapter now. So in the last chapter, last words, Krishna, it is like essence of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in this verse, Mat karma krut mat param, mat karma krut mat paramo, mat bhaktim sangha varjita, nirvaira sarva bhuteshu, yah yascha mam eti pandava. He says, who works for me, considering me the supreme, who is devoted to me without material attachments, without enmity towards any living being, will surely attain me, O Arjuna. So this verse is called like it is called like the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Means for a person like for us like who are involved in daily activities, like he says in this verse how to perform karma yoga, how to be situated in this material world. Okay, we have to work for Krishna and considering Krishna the supreme. Okay, the supreme of everything, supreme enjoyment, supreme abode, supreme destination. So Krishna is the ultimate of everything. So we have when we have that understanding, when we work regularly with that understanding, then we'll that is the then we can easily attain the perfection of our human form of life. So Krishna is saying in this verse, and without enmity to all living entities, he will surely attain me. So now Krishna is the source of all forms. Okay, if you see in the Virat Rupa chapter, Krishna first displayed the universal form, where Arjuna sees different heads, hands, and legs everywhere. So Krishna shows the universal form, and then when he withdraws that universal form, and upon the request of Krishna, he shows his four-handed form as a Vishnu, and then finally he comes to his two-handed form. So Krishna is the source of all the forms in the material world. Okay, so and all the divine forms are like his extensions or expansions. Okay, so and now in the previous chapter, through previous chapter we can conclude that Krishna is the source of even Vishnus also. There are thousands and millions of Vishnus. So Krishna is the source for all of them. Uh, and and Krishna is also source of material and spiritual worlds. Okay. So now that Krishna is saying how to perform bhakti or how to perform karma, nishkama karma yoga in the previous verse, just working for him. Okay. So after hearing from Krishna how Bhakti Yoga is the or supremacy of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service unto his personal form as Sham Sundar, Krishna says attachment to his personal form is the highest spiritual relation. So it has emphasized in the earlier chapters, and Arjuna personally experienced this in previous chapter. Okay, so one may get question, right? No, like if you see there are so many sects, so that somebody says God doesn't have any form. Somebody says no, there is a big controversy, right? Somebody in France, they displayed the Prophet Muhammad's cartoon, and for that he was killed. Because that religion, it says that God doesn't have any form, and it is an offense to show the form of even the preacher or the messenger of God. So how is it? Means how, like so what is the truth? Does God have form or does God not have any form? And which is supreme? That question arises in us, right? So, and which is ultimate, which is better, actually worshipping the personal form of Krishna or worshipping the impersonal form of Krishna, which is better? So some religions are, some even in the Brahmavadis are, they actually consider that worship worshipping the form of Krishna is actually inferior compared to worshipping the impersonal form of Krishna. And if you see the other religions also, some religions, they consider worshipping Krishna's personal form is, or worshipping any form is, uh, like they in the Hindu philosophy, they consider worshipping any form is a basic thing. Means after worshipping the forms, then you rise to the stage where you will worship impersonal. But in other religions, they actually propagate that worshipping forms is abominable. Mm. So what is actually the true? What is no? What is true and what is the highest and what is advanced and what is not advanced? What is basic? So now here, after here seeing the universal form of Krishna, and after listening to Krishna about the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga, and when Krishna says, "You be attached to personal my form and you perform Bhakti Yoga." If you see the process of Bhakti Yoga process involves mainly the personal service to Krishna. Means like doing arti, or working for Krishna, or like if you see in the temples, they dress the deity of Krishna and they decorate Krishna, and then they 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 do grand elaborate uh, offerings to Krishna in front of his deity form. So now one may question, like, why should we worship Krishna in this form when God is everywhere? God is everywhere. God is through, God is present everywhere. Then why do we actually see God only in one form? So, like even in Arjuna also, in this first chapter, first verse, Arjuna asks, no, Arjuna asks that, no, which is like, which is good, impersonal or personal? So then what is Arjuna's question? A personalist devotee who always worship you, which among the following is better? A personalist devotee who always worship you, uh, or an impersonalist meditator who worships the transcendental, unmanifest, impersonal form? So this this important question will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and the personal conception of the absolute truth. Okay, we previously discussed in our introductory sessions, right? God has three forms: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Brahman means all pervasive, like in the impersonal form of the Lord. Through his impersonal form, he is spread throughout the creation, both spiritual and material worlds. That is impersonal form. So that way God is existing everywhere. God's energies are existing everywhere. Okay. And then personal, above Brahman is Paramatma. Paramatma is the plenary expansion of the Lord, sitting beside the heart, sitting in the heart of every living entity. That is Paramatma feature of the Lord. And higher than these two forms is Bhagavan feature. Bhagavan feature is the supreme personality of Godhead himself in his personal form. So if you take the form of Krishna, or no, any incarnation of Krishna is like it has a form, right? Okay. And at the same time, the Krishna is present in his abode, and he also present in this material world during when he performs his pastimes. So those are three authorized ways in which the supreme personality of Godhead can be worshipped. But among those three worships, uh, Krishna says, those who fix their mind. So I will recite the verse. Okay, verse number 2. Maya Vesha Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Shraddhaya Parayopetaste Me Tame Yukta Tama Mataha Krishna says, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always worshipping me, desiring to associate with me, endowed with great transcendental faith, are considered by me the to be the most perfect, such as Ananya Bhakti. Such Ananya Bhaktas quickly attain me. Mm. And what he says about impersonal form of worship. Okay, verse number 3 and 4, he says, but those who fully worship me worship the unmanifested and which is beyond the sense perception, indefinite, all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable. These are the qualities of impersonal expansion of the Krishna. Okay, what are the qualities? Unmanifested, because it is not manifested, it cannot be seen, and which is beyond the sense perception. It cannot be experienced by any of our senses, and indefinite, it cannot be defined. Okay, and it is all pervading, and it is inconceivable. We cannot understand by our own nature how Lord is all pervasive. Okay, and unchangeable, because it is all pervasive, and it will not be changed by anything, and it is fixed and immovable. And by the process, now how can the worshipper of Brahman, what are the how does he do? Like by controlling various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such a person at last achieve me, impersonal Brahman, being engaged in the welfare of all. So the impersonalist worship, that kind of person, what does he do? He actually control his senses first. Okay, and being equally disposed to everyone. Such a person at last achieve me. Okay, but in the case of personal aspect, he achieves Krishna from the beginning itself, because when we engage ourselves in bhakti of Krishna, bhakti is both the means and the goal. Okay, so but in the case of impersonalist person, worshipper, he has to do all these things perfectly. No, such a person, when he does everything perfectly, then at the end, being engaged in the welfare of all, at the end he will achieve Krishna. How he will achieve? Maybe like, what are the final destination of impersonalist worshipper or personal worshipper? If we worship Krishna in his personal form, or engage in devotional service by worshipping his deity form and his chanting his holy name, that kind of person will actually go back to Golok Vrindavan. Like it's like you went out of your home, and uh, and after some time you realize that you're not happy outside, and you go back to your home, and where you can see your father, mother, and then you can be you can be you can become you can be happy with them, you can have loving exchanges with them. mm. But the impersonalist, what is their destination? Impersonalists, they think that the God is formless, means that God doesn't have any form, and God is all pervasive. Yes, that is true. And God, God is all pervasive. That is also true. mm. But how will they attain the perfection? They actually they will, when they perfect, when they control their senses, and when they are being equally disposed both in the heat, in the cold, in the sorrow and distress, in all situations, and all and if they don't develop any enmity towards anybody, mm, only such kind of person will attain the impersonal liberation. He will merge into the impersonal Brahman. So, but the pleasure achieved by merging in the impersonal Brahman is very insignificant when compared to the pleasure in the personal, worshipping the personal form of Krishna. That is a scriptural injunction. Okay. So, But Krishna himself says in the 5th verse, he says, Bhakti is better because that the impersonal worship is troublesome. Hmm? In the verse number 5, Krishna says, Kleshodhikarastesha avyakta avyaktastachetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deha deha Dehavadbir avapyaste, means he says advancement is very troublesome for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme. To make progress toward the unmanifest is difficult for those who are embodied. Hmm? Because it is said that no, like if you want to achieve any form or any stage, means like if you want to merge into the fire, you have to become like a fire. Hmm? Like if you want to go to the if you want to go into the sun planet, your body should be suitable enough. Your body should be like sun planet, like no, sun planet is like fire, right? So your body should be like fire. Hmm? So if we want to merge into the impersonal Brahman, means how impersonal, what are the qualities of impersonal Brahman? It is all pervading, inconceivable, and immovable, fixed, like that, right? So it is impersonal is equal in every aspect, means it doesn't have any good or bad, and means any taste, nothing. That's why if you see the no Mayavadi sannyasis, they'll do lot of austerities. They don't eat tasty food, they don't even wear clothes, they don't shave, they don't means they are actually very indifferent to all these things. They are only thinking impersonal, means everything is and everything is Brahman. So that is very impersonal aspect, and Krishna is saying that that the advancement in that path is very difficult because the we as a embodied, means we as a person who in these bodies have senses, have mind, have intelligence, and we have to negate everything. We have to reject all the things that are coming from all these uh, aspects of mind, senses, and intelligence. We have to reject everything that is given by our uh, senses and everything. So it is advancement is very difficult in that path. Okay, despite of this knowledge, why should like Krishna is saying that no? That it is very difficult, but despite of this knowledge, despite of all this knowledge, why would one still take this path of impersonalism? Hmm? Then he says, like bhakti, then why this the persons who are like so Krishna is directly saying here, this impersonal worship is very difficult. You take the personal form is very easy. huh? Then why do the some persons they take impersonal thing? Because they don't want their, because of their limited in knowledge, because they think because I have a farm right now, because due to this farm I am finite, my ability to perceive the infinite is not possible because I have a personal form. Hmm? So that's why they think that impersonal form is higher. So but Krishna is saying bhakti, the simple and easy path of personalist. Okay, says, but those who give up these activities unto me and divide being a devoted to me without deviation, engage in the devotional service and always meditating upon me and worshipping me. Mm. So because the personal worship is very simple, and for them I'm a shift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. I deliver them quickly, O son of Pratap, because they fixed their mind upon me. So now I will see, I will tell you the difference between the impersonal worship and personal worship. Okay. Impersonal worship, I already told you in the beginning, right? Like, there are two things, Markata Nyaya, Marjala Nyaya. Markata Nyaya means like a monkey, how a monkey, baby monkey will take the shelter of the mother monkey, but it is the duty of the baby monkey to tightly hold the mother monkey, and the mother monkey will be jumping from one branch to another branch without caring for the baby monkey. And and the baby monkey, it is the responsibility of the baby to tightly hold of the mother. Mm. So if the baby monkey fails to hold the mother monkey, then it will fall down, it will die. Mm. But there is Marjala. Marjala means the cat. Marjalanaya means the how the cat carries its baby from one location to another location. It will safely hold the baby without hurting the baby through its mouth and carry the baby to the another safety location. Mm. So the advancement in the impersonal form is like, we have to take our full responsibility. Means we have to be fully controlling our senses and being equally disposed to everyone, and being always engaged in the impersonal worship. We have to take our full responsibility. If we fall down, then you have to start all over again. But in the case of bhakti yoga, it is like marjala means the like a cat. The Lord will take the responsibility of his devotees, even if there are some imperfections in his devotees, even if his devotee falls down due to uh, no like not being the perfect not being perfect in his sadhana or something like that. If he falls down, Lord will personally take the responsibility. That's why in the verse number 7, Krishna is saying, for them I am a ship deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. I deliver them quickly, O son of Pratha, because they fixed their mind upon me. That is the advantage of worshipping the personal form of Krishna. Because if we fully surrender ourselves to Krishna, because when we, if we take the example of, there are many examples. How, if we take the example of Prahlad Maharaj, example of Draupadi Devi, how she tried her best to, like when Duryodhana and his party tried to insult her, tried to disrobe her in the assembly, she actually gave up all her attempts and fully took the shelter of Krishna. And there Krishna gave her infinite sari. I mean, as like even though Dushasana was pulling the sari of Draupadi, he was never able to disrobe her because Krishna protected Krishna, because Draupadi took the shelter of Krishna. So the devotee develops his love for Krishna and and then he puts the responsibility of freeing himself from Maya on Krishna only. Because when we take the shelter of Krishna, when we surrender ourselves to Krishna through the process of devotional service, we engage in the Navavida Bhakti, means the 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dhyasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Means we hear about Krishna. Shravanam. Archana means we actually do worship Krishna. Vandana means we pay obeisance to Krishna. Dasya means we serve the Krishna and his devotees. Sakya means we act in friendly disposition towards Krishna. Hmm? Sakyam, Dasyam, Atmanivedana means we fully surrender to Krishna. Means so that's the way these processes are very easy to perform. And if we perfect our life in any of the forms, means we can do all of these 9 processes or do any one of those perfectly, then we will easily attain the perfection of devotional service. Okay. So if you see the example of Srila Prabhupada also, Like he started from India, like when his Guru Maharaj said, you go to the Western countries and preach, and he doesn't have anybody to sponsor him, and he only attached to his guru's instruction. He just made step by step arrangement that he just he came to America with nobody to take care of him, with just 40 rupees in his hand. And then by the grace of Krishna, he actually was able to establish this beautiful ISKCON society, and thousands and thousands of followers. And he circled around the globe 12 times to establish temples in different continents. So that way, like he's utterly dependent on the Krishna himself. So he's a 70 years old man, and he doesn't have enough strength to even do everything by himself. But by the mercy of Krishna, because he took full surrender of Krishna, and he has full faith in Krishna and his holy name, everything was made possible. Because there is also a nice story, okay, where there used to be a sparrow. This sparrow actually she laid eggs in the bank of an ocean, okay, and like what happened, like one high tide came and washed off all the eggs into the took all the eggs into the ocean, okay. So, and this sparrow, it went onto the bank of ocean and it challenged the ocean, means uh, Samudra Dev, ocean sun god or sea god. He said, no, like if you don't give my eggs back, I will dry up your ocean. It challenged the ocean, okay, and ocean didn't care at all, because and this sparrow, it started taking water with its beak and throwing the water on the it started throwing the water on the beach, okay. And this news and this it relentlessly did this effort, no, and this news reached the like the this determination of the sparrow, how it is trying to dry up the ocean. This news spread everywhere and finally reached to Garuda. And Garudadev finally came down and said to ocean, because if you don't give the eggs of this sparrow, then I will take up the job of drying up the ocean. When Garuda came and said, like Garuda, like ocean knew the power of Garuda, and he said, okay. And he came forth and he said he actually gave the eggs back to sparrow. Means, like if you see that example, it is our duty to do whatever is in our hand perfectly and leave the rest to Krishna, and Krishna will take care of us. Mm. So if we take that sparrow, the sparrow, even if it's struggle lifelong, it can never dry up the ocean. But Krishna sees how sincere we are. Like a Garuda sees the sincerity of that sparrow to dry up the ocean. Mm. So, and that's how he came to help the sparrow. No? So if we are sincere, doing whatever the small or big activities that we are doing in the service of Krishna, Krishna sees the sincerity of the devotee. So this Jiva Goswami says why devotion service is so rare. Actually, why it is said that Krishna can give everything very easily. He can even give impersonal liberation very easily, but not bhakti. He can give mukti easily, but not bhakti. Why? Because when he gives mukti, he just have to take care of the karma of the jiva. But when he gives bhakti, when Krishna gives bhakti to somebody, means the bhakta devotees will have the ability to control Krishna, and Krishna becomes controlled by his devotees. So that's the reason he doesn't give the this bhakti to anybody so easily. He will test, and finally he will give. So that is the power of bhakti. Okay. Now Krishna says like different ways, Then Arjuna says, how can he advance in this path? And no, and Krishna gives like different ways, different levels in which one can advance in bhakti. Okay. So first he starts with no, fix your mind upon me, fix your intelligence upon Krishna, and try to fix your mind. And then he says, mind fixed on Krishna, it will result will live in relationship with Krishna. This is the highest stage. Means if, but if you are not able to always fix your mind on Krishna, then follow four regulatory principles. Means thus of fixing the mind means always thinking about Krishna. Means uh, the highest stage is without any hindrance, without any break. You should always be Krishna conscious. You should always be thinking about Krishna, or always uh, in always involved in the service of Krishna. But if you are not able to do, mm, if you are not able to do that, then we follow the regulative principles of sadhana bhakti. That's what many of our ISKCON devotees will do, because they follow four regulative principles. What are the four regulative principles? No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. So, because when we follow these four regulative principles, we become purified gradually, and then our consciousness will gradually become purified. And we it is, and also we chant the holy name of Krishna. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, we remember the Krishna, we remember Krishna, and we gradually become advanced. Okay, and we will be able to remember Krishna all the time. But if still if you are not able to do that, then what we have to do, we have to work for Krishna. This is karma yoga. Yes, in the karma yoga, what will karma yogi do? He actually works and then gives the results to Krishna. What will the bhakti yogi do? Bhakti yogi does nishkama karma yoga, means working without any desire for enjoyment. He works only for the pleasure of Krishna. Mm. So, but Karma Yogi, he works on his own style and finally offers that results to Krishna. So that is working for Krishna. And still, if you are not able to do that, renounce, renunciation and cultivation of knowledge, meditation, like these are the process. If you cannot offer all your actions to me, he says in the verse number 12, 11, he says, then try to act giving up all your results of your work and try to be self-situated. Knowledge is better than practice, okay? And meditation is better than knowledge. And renunciation of the fruits of work is better than meditation. And results of renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. I hope you're able to follow, right?
No, Prabhuji.
No
Hare
problem.
Krishna, Prabhuji. I mean, this last four.
Slides, you're confused?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So actually, Krishna is saying, first he is setting targets, okay? Like I give one example. First Prabhupada asked to his devotees, how many rounds we should chant? Prabhupada says everybody should chant 64 rounds and follow four regulatory principles. And devotee said, Prabhupada, that is way beyond. We cannot if we chant 64 rounds, we cannot. It is not possible for us. Then okay, Prabhupada says, okay, then at chant like 32 rounds daily. And still devotee said 32 rounds also, Prabhupada, it will take 4 hours. We cannot chant 32 rounds. We cannot afford to spend 4 hours daily for chanting. Then again Prabhupada said, okay, chant 16 rounds. Okay, like that. Okay, then then finally said, okay, there is no more going down. Chant 16 rounds and follow four regulatory principles. That is the minimum that you should do. Okay. Now here the Krishna also, he said what is the highest stage of bhakti yoga is to fix our mind in Krishna. Mind fixed on Krishna is the highest position. Means always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna is the highest stage. Okay, but there are many people who may say that, well, we cannot always remember Krishna. No, we have many things to do. No, and also our mind is very agitated. Our mind goes off very quickly. There is no chance that we'll be able to do that. somebody may say that. For them, Krishna says, then if you are not able to do that, follow four regulative principles of sadhana bhakti. Means the four regulative principles are there, right? The no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling. You follow four regulative principles and then do sadhana. This chanting is also a part of sadhana. Okay, so that's what we do. We do sadhana bhakti. The first stage is bhava bhakti, and if you are not able to perform bhava bhakti, you perform sadhana bhakti. Even there are some people who find it very difficult also. No, for them Krishna says, okay, then if you are not able to follow the regulative principles of bhakti, then you work for me. Means working in Krishna conscious, means always working everything related to Krishna, taking everything, means like but this work is the third step Krishna is mentioning is working, means like only working in devotion to Krishna, means whatever is related to Krishna consciousness work, you do that work. And if that is also like no, what is that? What is that kind of work? Means like cleaning the temple, doing any service for Krishna, like no, uh, anything related to Krishna, like distributing books, something like that. Okay, working for Krishna. If you are not able to even work for Krishna, at least you dedicate your results to the Krishna. Means like working your own thing, means you do your own thing, your own job, and finally at least give some result, some of your results. Means like no, like what is the purpose of all the work is to attain the enjoy the results of the work, right? So you first offer your results, a portion of your result, all of your results to Krishna, and then that will actually, when we offer our results of our work to Krishna, then entire of the endeavor that we kept in the work, means like going to office, working, or no, going for shopping, or maintaining a home, everything becomes purified because the the end purpose is we are dedicating the result to Krishna. Means what is like, then we will be thinking that everything is for the purpose of Krishna's pleasure. So from each previous step, we should gradually progress to the final destination of always meditating on Krishna. You is it clear, Mataji, right now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So
So
yeah,
like
yeah, whenever you are not able to follow, you feel free to stop me, and you can ask me. Okay.
yes, Prabhuji.
You say something.
So I said, I mean, so work for Krishna, right? So like, does that mean like full time we have to work for Krishna?
No. It says do whatever you are doing, and then like you come to temple and you do service in the temple. That is working for Krishna, right?
Right.
Okay. And if you are not able to do that, but do whatever you are doing, and finally offer your results to Krishna.
So
That is
like,
also,
yeah, like let's say we can only do like 2 hours
yeah,
a week,
whatever,
right?
yeah,
To the
whatever.
temple.
Yeah, whatever you are doing, you do for Krishna. You be Krishna. You wherever you are, you be Krishna conscious, and your center of our life should be to perform bhakti towards Krishna. Okay.
Okay.
Our life, all the activities of our life should be centered around serving, performing devotion service to Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. Right.
So from each and every stage, you have to finally reach the always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. So from to perform pure devotion service, we have to start with practicing sadhana bhakti. So to reach to the sadhana bhakti stage, we have to start with nishkama karma yoga, means working for Krishna. To reach that stage, we have to start from the mode of goodness, means being charity towards a good cause, and developing knowledge about Krishna consciousness, and meditating on Krishna, means how to perform the bhakti like that. Okay. So these are all step-by-step process. We have to finally achieve the pure devotional service. So then Krishna will explain in the verse number 13 to 20 what are the qualities which endear, means through which one can become dear to Krishna. Mm. So equipoise in honor and dishonor, okay, and freedom from false ego, attachment of fruitive results, and no sense of proprietorship. Mm. So if you see see the Krishna, Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayashyati. Means offer with me with love. If you offer me with a leaf, patram, pushpam means a flower, water, toyam, phalam toyam means these three simple things, I am satisfied. Mm. It doesn't mean that you should only offer only one leaf, one flower, and one fruit. Not like that, because we offer to Krishna whatever is best in our uh, life. Mm. So why that shows that shows how we are willing to sacrifice our sacrifice for the service of Krishna. Mm. Here, now in the picture says Raghunath Das Goswami. He was actually a prince, mm, and he became a devotee, and he gave up all his possessions, and he started begging in front of Puri Jagannath temple. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with his renunciation, because renunciation for the sake of Krishna, renunciation in bhakti implies that one is willing to like one is accepting one is not taking the position of enjoyer. He is saying that why we all came into this material world, because we want to enjoy independent of Krishna. But when we actually give up this enjoying propensity and take to renunciation, means renunciation in the bhakti, because we actually we wake up in the morning and we actually eat only foodstuffs offered to Krishna, and we chant the holy name of Krishna. Means we are sacrificing our time, and we are sacrificing our energy, and we should be free from false ego, okay. Like I am the enjoyer, everything means me and my I and me centeredness, means from that we have to come out of that platform and put Krishna as the center of our life, okay. That is, and attachment to the fruitive results. Because for that also says, right, you give up your results of your work. When we give up like Krishna says, whoever is trying to enjoy the fruits of his result is a miser, because whatever the results we are going to get in this material world are very temporary, and when they can be easily destroyed. But when we offer the results of our work to Krishna, then that will lead to the eternal benefits of in our life, okay. And non-envious, and friend of all, and dealing with others, okay. First example is attitude towards oneself, okay. How we should think of ourselves. And second is dealing with others, okay. You should be non-envious, you should be friend of all, we should never harm anybody, we should never belittle anybody, and we should respect everyone on their level, okay, because everybody is progressing according to their position. And it is the in the example of Mrugari, okay. Here Narada Muni and Mrugari is there, right. Mrugari was a cruel person. He used to half kill the animals, because he used to shoot an arrow and he used to enjoy the animal being suffered. Means like when the animal will be struggling for life in front of him, he used to enjoy seeing that. huh? When Narada Muni comes on that way and he sees that and says, why are you leaving all the animals half dead and they are struggling for their life? Why don't you kill them fully? Or then this Mrugari says, when that animals struggle for their life, it gives me a great pleasure. So in order to change that person, Narada Muni, what he says, what happens after your death? All these animals will have their own, they will take revenge after your death. All these animals will come with their fierce horns, and then will what do you call uh, sharp horns, and then they will pierce you. And he shows a future picture how the animals are waiting for him angrily. And seeing that, this Mrugari gets tensed and he says, what should I do now? And Narada Muni says, you just break your bow and be kind to all the animals. Don't do this hunting business, and you take shelter of Krishna. You become a devotee and you just chant the name of Krishna, and everything will be provided to you. And the Mrugari says that, and then this Mrugari takes up the process of devotional service and becomes a great devotee. Mm. And one time Narada Muni comes to see him, and at that point of time, like Narada Muni is a guru of Mrugari, right? So then he was trying to pay obeisances, but there are some ants that are crawling on the ground. So he just don't want to lay on no don't want to pay obeisances there because it will kill the ants. So he actually no take his towel and then gently brushed away the ants and then paid obeisances. And this was very pleasing to Mrugari. How this was very pleasing to Narada Muni. How this Mrugari, who was such a cruel person, was killing animals half dead, is now he is not even wants to do harm to even for the ants. Such a he developed to such a sensitivity towards other suffering. mm. So it was very pleasing to Narada Muni, and that way that Mrugari attained the perfection of his life. Okay, so as a devotee, we should be non-envious of anybody. Like everybody has their own mm, life, and we may think, oh, this person is the meat eater, gamblers. Should not see this negativity in anybody, because we were like that before, but by Krishna's mercy we got this knowledge of Krishna consciousness and we are leading the pure life right now. But we should be friend of all. We should help them in whatever way we can, and we should not be no we should not be envious or do any activity that uh, no that makes enmity with them, and free from contaminating association. But at the same time, we should not take the non-devotee association, because non-devotees are still in the involved in many sinful activities. If we want ourselves to make progress, we should uh, we should willingly take the association of devotees, who are always glorifying Krishna, who is right on the platform. We are progressing on the platform of devotional service, and he speaks only about. And one should not speak anything nonsense. Okay, we should always speak only Krishna conscious things. Okay, and then next step is reactions towards the events in the world. How will he react? If some, like, first step is controlling oneself. Okay, second is what is his disposition towards others, and third step is how does he reacts to the events of this world. Okay, he will be self-controlled, because he will never give up himself for anger, greed, or envy. He will be self-controlled. And he because controlling senses becomes easy when we perform devotional service to Krishna. Controlling mind or controlling senses it becomes very easy. And when a worshipper of Krishna does not associate himself with any of the things, because everything is Krishna's property, and he was always Krishna conscious and satisfied with whatever comes by Krishna's mercy. He does not hanker too much, too much endeavor. Like a yadrucha lava santushta means there is some happiness that is destined for us, and when it comes on its way, he will accept and he will be satisfied with that. He will not make a very big endeavor for his sense gratification. Mm. Like if you see some people, they actually build big mansions, and a person who is living in a small simple house and a big mansion will have the same shelter, but the question of ego is not there in the life of devotee. He doesn't care for any material facility, example residence. Okay, and equipoised and tolerant in difficulty. If you see the life of Lord Ram or life of Pandavas, they are equipoised. Somebody will argue about Karna and Arjuna, like who is great. it is said that no, there are definitely some insults in the life of Karna. Okay, he was not given the respect, or he was not given the opportunity to grow. And there were some difficulties in the life of Pandavas also. And see what Pandavas did and what Karna did. Okay, Karna took for his self-interest. He took the bad association, even though he knew that Duryodhana is an evil person, but just because he was giving him food and shelter, and just because he is given him the kingdom, and he gave him a social position, he was able to give up his character for the sake of Duryodhana. But in the sake of Pandavas, they were murder attempts on them. They are like their wife Draupadi was insulted. No, there were attempts to make her disrobe her in the assembly. And still the Pandavas, just because not to commit any adharmic activities, they stayed patient, they stayed calm, and they never wavered, uh, they always took the path of dharma. And even the Pandavas were willing to forgive the Duryodhan and his party if they would just give them 5 villages, so that they can rule their 5 villages and then be situated in their Kshatriya duty. So that is the difference, because this ability to forgive or tolerance, that is the quality of a devotee. And expert, he knows how to use everything in Krishna's service. Okay, and he pure. Like if any devotee, what like no, they always engage whatever they have in Krishna service. Okay, and they are internally and externally pure. Okay, and sees all the events, good and bad, as a mercy of the Lord. Okay, when a person sees everything that is happening, either good or bad, as the mercy of the Lord, then they will be Krishna conscious all the time without even wasting a moment. Okay, if you see the life of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada was always Krishna conscious, because when he was successful in business, he says it is Krishna's mercy. When he lost everything in his business, when his factory was robbed, he thought it is Krishna's ultimate mercy that he is taking everything away from me. And he actually took the shelter of Krishna more and more. So the devotee of Krishna will take the shelter of Krishna irrespective of the situations. So if you take Srila Prabhupada dealing with the Lord, uh, he the devotees engage in bhakti with faith and determination. Mind, intelligence always fixed in Krishna. This is the stage of pure devotion service to Krishna. Means irrespective of external situations, the devotees always engaged in devotion towards Krishna, either in the form of remembrance, either in the form of Shravanam, Kirtanam, others Smaranam. He was always in devotion service. If you take life of Srila Prahlad Maharaj, he was like the Hiranyakashipu. He actually is the emperor of entire world. He tried to kill Prahlad just because he just wanted to, he does not want Prahlad to be a devotee of Krishna. Like Prahlad would have been a prince, and he could have enjoyed royal facilities with of his father if he just gave the devotion service to Krishna. So, but Prahlad does not want to do that. He actually opted that no, you can do whatever you want, but I cannot give this bhakti towards Krishna. So, and he was kept in so many difficulties, and finally Lord came as Narsingadev and protected Prahlad Maharaj. So when compared to the struggles of Prahlad Maharaj or devotees like Srila Prabhupada, our life struggles are not so much. Okay, and finally the qualities of Krishna. Okay, the essential qualities are split into 2 categories. Essential qualities means Swarupa Lakshana and ancillary qualities, Tadaksha Lakshana. Means Swarupa Lakshana means which are devotions, Bhaktyama means devotional service, directly related to devotional service to Krishna. And other qualities starting from 13 to 19, okay, are these qualities that will assist the direct devotional service to Krishna. So all these qualities are listed in the from the verse number 13 to verse number 13 to 20. Okay, I will read out all those qualities and we'll see. Okay, all these qualities are ancillary qualities. Okay, 13 to 19. And finally 20th verse is direct devotional service to Krishna. What are the ancillary qualities? Non-envious towards anybody, including who are envious. Okay, friend of all, kind and merciful to all, free from the sense of proprietorship, free from false ego or identification with the body, equal in happiness and distress, forgiving and tolerant, satisfied always in devotional service, self-control, little mind and intelligence fixed in Krishna. Such devotees are devotee Krishna. Okay, and no one is uh, agitated by him. Okay, and he's not agitated by anyone, and equipoised in joy and distress, and he's neutral, pure and clean, expert. So all these are ancillary qualities. And what are the direct qualities? Are those who always remembering Krishna and engaging himself in service of Krishna. Those are all. So first, in the first few verses, Krishna mentioned how devotee in the verse number verse number 2, Krishna mentioned how that is the pure bhakti, the principles of pure bhakti. And from the verse number 13 to 20, Krishna explains all these, the ancillary qualities or the supplementary qualities which will assist in pure devotional service. So that is the end of this chapter. If you have any questions or comments, we can discuss. I hope you're able to follow, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
I have a question. What is the example of karma having Krishna in mind? Like, whatever you do, like, do you just remember him that I'm going to start this karma and have in your mind? Then, like,
if we see, for suppose, karma means activity, Mataji. Means what any activity that you do is karma, right?
Right.
And what is our main principle? What in bhakti is, or Krishna is saying, always remembering Krishna. For suppose, now like you have a daughter or son.
Right. Two daughters.
Okay. So if your daughter's birthday is there, okay, and you are going to buy a gift for your daughter on her birthday, okay. So what will you do? You go there and when you are during shopping, what will you think? Oh, my daughter like this, my daughter like this color, my daughter like this kind of toys. No, so you'll be fully conscious of about your daughter at that time, right?
Right.
So in the same way, when we are performing activity for Krishna, we will be always conscious of Krishna, because Krishna will like this way. Krishna will when we are dealing with others also. If Krishna, if I deal this way, Krishna will be pleased. Or if I while cooking also, if I cook like this, or if I use these ingredients, Krishna will be pleasing, because no, this is always mentioned, because there are three modes, right? Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. First of all, we should come to the platform of Sattvagun, and from that platform, when we get engaged ourselves in the devotional service to Krishna, will be in the Shuddha Sattva platform. So when we perform any activity, when we want to please Krishna, we will be always Krishna conscious. This activity will be pleasing to Krishna or not. That will be then our activity will be purified, or then that activity is in perfectional stage. You understand the difference, right?
Right. Right. So back of the mind, whatever you do, you will have
You sh-
Krishna in mind, and
yes,
yes, yes.
and
Okay.
that way we can easily attain the perfection of devotional service. So that is the ultimate, means you should have that kind of remembrance always. It comes
Right.
only by the mercy of Krishna. When we please Krishna, then Krishna will reciprocate
Right.
with us. Then when Krishna reciprocates with us, then our service to Krishna, our remembrance of Krishna will increase more and more, and we will be pleased to Krishna more. And when Krishna is pleased again, he again reciprocates, and we again become more Krishna conscious, and we try to please Krishna more and more. Like that, our bhakti will increase, and we reach a stage that involuntarily, means without any effort, we always remember Krishna. That is the stage that we have to reach.
And I have one more question.
Yes, Mataji.
So there is a Murti Puja and there is a Dhyan where you really don't have statue in front of you. So
Mm,
if one is getting connected with Krishna by just doing Dhyan or meditation,
mm.
is it okay to not do the prayer uh, by like doing the sloka or
No, actually, that is what discussed actually. In
right,
the
right,
verse number 3 to 4, Krishna says how this process is very difficult. See, Mataji, if there are two paths, okay.
right,
You can either take a lift and go directly to like if you want to go to the 50-story building, and
hmm,
your friend is on the 50th floor, you can directly go and take a lift and go to the 50th floor, or you
right,
can take a staircase and walk by yourself and go. Okay,
right, right,
so reaching the goal is important, right?
right,
Okay, which way you went is not much significant, right?
right,
When your friend sees you, you will be happy, right?
right, right,
You will have loving reciprocation with your friend.
right,
And this process is not giving you the process is not important. Will you be
right,
able to reach the ultimate goal of the process?
right.
So in the impersonal form where you meditate, without any form, without anything, you just concentrate on nothing. So that is very difficult. That is, Krishna is saying, we are all
Hmm.
embodied beings. We have senses, we have mind, we have intelligence. We
Right.
are embodied beings. It is difficult to meditate on nothingness.
Hmm.
Mm. So
Yeah.
you may start in the beginning. If the meditation process, it may give you a little bit of relaxation, a little bit
Hmm.
of mind, but will you be able to achieve the ultimate, when everything is peaceful around you, you will be able to peacefully meditate. But something gets disturbed, some disturbance comes into your mind, some
Right.
disturbance in your family, or with your relations, or with to anybody in your family, any troublesome situation comes, then your peace of mind will go away, and you will never be able to perform your meditation, right?
Hmm.
But in the sake of devotional service, you can be able to perform devotional service in any means devotional service. You just chant the name of Krishna, or remember
Hmm.
Krishna, or worship Krishna. You can be able to do in any form, right? Even if there is
Right.
so much trouble, so much of difficulties in your family, actually in difficult situation we will be taking shelter of Krishna with wholeheartedly.
Right.
So, and Krishna says, in the first process of meditation on the impersonal Brahman, it is their personal responsibility to achieve perfection in that stage. Means if you take up the process of meditation, means you have to strictly meditate for hours together and achieve that mental stage where you will be able to achieve undeviated attention. That is your personal effort. But in the case of
Right.
bhakti, when we perform bhakti, when we take shelter of Krishna, then Krishna will take our personal responsibility, and he will be the
Okay.
ship deliverer. In the first
Right.
case of impersonal meditation, it is your responsibility to get out of this material existence. But in the case of second way, in the case of bhakti, Krishna himself will take us from this material existence and put us in the take
Uh,
us.
but Prabhuji, so when you are doing meditation, actually you are connecting with Krishna.
Yeah, if you meditate on Krishna, that is good. If you meditate
That
on
that is
Parma
good.
form,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
why we don't do meditation. We just do japa, chanting.
Chanting. Okay.
Chanting holy name of Krishna is the best process of meditation. That is
Right.
called mantra meditation.
Right.
We chant this mantra, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Right.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So among all the process of this meditation, this japa meditation is the highest. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
So that
And
is a easy
just the
process
last
also.
question.
Yeah, yeah.
Easy process. Okay. And just last question. We saw the qualities of the person who wants to be in bhakti, and so, but Krishna asked Arjun to fight with because it was dharma yuddha, right?
Mm.
So when something comes on principle which is wrong or right, and if your wordings will hurt somebody who is doing wrong thing, is it okay to behave that way or stop somebody doing wrong thing, or
Mm.
because actually it will give pain to another person, right, by your words?
No, if it is your duty.
So
Mm. So if
right,
it
right,
is your duty to stop everybody who, like, if it like, for suppose, if somebody is some man is beating somebody, if you have the power to stop
right,
him, you have to stop him.
right,
But if you don't have the
right,
power, and if you think that it will harm yourself and harm other person also, and but there will be no good achieved in this process, then you have to do the needful to you know to
right.
actually stop the situation.
Okay,
When Krishna says to Arjuna to fight for the sake of dharma,
right,
Arjuna is fighting. Hmm?
right, right,
So it is, but when Krishna here in the qualities of devotees, Krishna says he doesn't, is friend of all. Okay, kind and merciful, non-envious, and
yeah,
non-violent. Uh,
right,
so he is not doing all those things because Arjuna is not fighting for his self-interest. He is fighting for the sake of dharma.
okay,
So for the
okay,
sake of others, for the sake of protecting another person, another devotee, we should fight.
right,
We should always fight. I should always try our best to make all our attempts to
right,
legally, all our legal attempts. Okay, to
right,
stop that activity.
right, right, okay,
And
yeah,
while doing all those activity, we should abide by the law of the land. Means whatever the law says in that land, we should abide
right,
by. All the devotees should first abide by the laws of the land, and
hmm,
then abide by the laws of the
right,
dharma, Krishna,
right,
whatever Krishna says. So a devotee will follow the law of land and also law of the God, both.
right,
Okay.
both, okay.
Mm.
But you should stand up when you have to stand up, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Any more questions?
I think I'm fine.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Mata, you have
I'm
any
good,
questions?
Prabhuji. Hare
Okay.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Dandavat pranams.
Grandra Srimad Bhagavad Gita की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Hare